Yo, yo, it's ODB from OLP. We are your mini trucking headquarters. However, of course, we cover everything all encompassing of the custom truck world. And as you know, we love our magazines. At least I do. So, what I want to do is I want to go through, I did one of these prior. I'm going to put this into the same playlist. What my goal is to go through these stacks of trucking and just show you the covers and just briefly talk about them. What I want to do here is start, I'm going to go to 94. I may have done 1990 prior, but basically, this is one of the years that I have all of the issues. There's a few, like a year or two, that I'm missing one or two. So, what I want to do is kind of just go through these. And again, this will be a kind of a shorter video. So here you have January 94, and many of you know this cover. This cover is unique because it is a fold-out cover. Mini Truckin only did this one time, and I've shared this around Christmas time. Now you can imagine back in this day, these magazines came out about, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks prior. So, you can imagine mid-November, Thanksgiving, late November, this issue coming out. Of course, those that don't know, it's Boyd Coddington as Santa. You can see the Boyd wheels on the truck as well as in the bed. There was, some cool product placement on this one. And for those that also don't know, we've never really shared this story. Some of the West Coast guys know this because the name came up in various covers and features. But you see there on the second line, Linda Sobek. We've hashtagged her name before, Linda Sobek, as well as RIP Linda Sobek. And she was on several covers, but she was unfortunately murdered. But she was on this cover, again, January 94. This would have came out late 93. So we'll put that down here. Now, some of these I'm going to go through a little bit quicker. So again, this video is not going to be super long. But here you have February. Obviously, kind of the red color ties into the theme of Valentine's Day overall. But you have an OBS, extended cab, with a motorcycle, a chick, and a dude. In the upper right, you can see Pacific across the windshield. That was the same company when, rest in peace, Sean Carlson was on Mini Truckin cover with the S10 at the burger joint. Same company owned that S10. But there you go. Kind of old school by today's standards, but OBS trucks are all the rage. And it's pretty cool, but I don't know that we'll ever get back to the awesomeness. We're kind of getting back to it, the awesomeness of the 90s. So you go, well, hey, ODB, here's March, and there's more red, and absolutely, you've got some red here, some cowgirl boots, Ram trucks, Dodge Ram, back in those days, of course, they were referred to as. And something we don't often talk about is the concept vehicles. They were big in the 60s. I kind of follow them related to the Lincolns, but you can look back at some of the sport trucks, the Truckins, the different publications, and usually draw some differences between, the concept vehicles and what eventually came to the market. Now, this issue I had never had combined or in this stack, and it took me a few minutes to find this one. This one is kind of hard to find, it seems like these days. April 94. In the description, I'm going to put a link to a video that I did in reference to just how this truck was etched in my mind, in my teens. And this is a cool cover. Ironically enough, I just did a reel on this tied into the poster that I'm looking at above. And thanks to Tim Davis and Beltec reshared it. But this was the Beltec Phantom Dually. And it was at SEMA 93, if I remember correctly, looking back at photos. But pretty cool cover. It turned into, of course, the poster as well. One of my favorite trucks from that era. Here is May 94, and you have some red and black, and you have a chick with some crazy jean shorts on. Obviously, S10 or mini truck guys will know the S10 was reintroduced in 94 with the new rounder body style, one of the probably most popular mini trucks ever. Started in 82, of course. Steve Mag kind of reinforces that over on his channel on some of his videos, but 82 to 93, they do the redesign, and then of course the rest is history. But you can see here, pretty cool. You got the Nash Truck Speedway Racing on the top. Ironically enough, NASCAR, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Ryan Fringlinghouse has hinted several times about he's going to West Coast Customs is going to have a NASCAR. I don't know if it's a special deal or what. I haven't really read the press release on it, but pretty cool. NASCAR's come a long way. They're trying to get, I think, the younger generation involved a little bit. I grew up riding in a 59 that my dad had, but here's an old school 3100. Of course, with Steve Stillwell, rest in peace, in the mix here and kind of at the helm. Classic trucks were a big part of, Steve's bloodline, I guess you could say. And certainly, you can see they had a great mix in 94. This was always an awesome cover to me. You have Wild Spring Splash, kind of insert photo there with the van, win the Sherwood S10. So they did partnerships with Sherwood back in the day, including a full size, but you basically have the GMC truck here, sunroof, sport truck kind of era-ish. You have the two chicks washing with the bucket, which was kind of a great X Marks the Spot kind of cover that these guys would do, Brian McCormick and team in that era. Hot Ford 100s in Havasu. Ironically enough, we just had Classic Truck Throwdown in Conroe, Texas, and they did an F100 takeover. So it's crazy to see that trucks are still all the rage all these years later, man. They were popular way back in 94, but they're super popular now. You have Bert's Bad Bandit. So Burt Reynolds up here, obviously pretty cool stuff there. And then you have this C10. I think this was a pretty awesome C10 in its day. I don't know a lot on the history of it, but Ooze in Oz, I think is how you say that. But obviously having a woman on the cover in this era was paramount to sell the magazines. And Truckin, I would imagine, in the mid 90s was probably hitting all-time high, mid 90s to the 2000s. Here you have an S10 still in product placement there, big advertiser. You can see the C10 above or in the upper right corner, and they do talk about first look at the 95 Chevy Blazer. So the tie-in, Chevy was introducing these new body style trucks, and obviously Truckin would have been a great publication to do that. This was always one of my favorite covers as well, just because of the colors on the truck. Pretty basic, nothing crazy, not in a garage or anything, possibly just at a show or in a field. Apologize for the glare, but super summer shows. And then up here, you can see a mini truck. They never left their mini truck roots, even to the very end. And you can see the world's leading sport truck publication. So they were flexing their muscles saying, hey, we've got it all. But hot chick, definitely 90s vibe with the white shoes and those socks. Pretty cool cover with the mini truck topless. Got two more left and then we'll wrap it up. Again, another S10. We often kind of talk about there weren't a lot of mini trucks on the cover of Truckin, and I think that's true, but I mean, you could see here there were some, definitely. There's some iconic ones, but with this is even with Mini Truckin as their sister publication in 94, they were still committed to sharing the mini trucks on the cover, especially features. And I mean, I've said this before, but it's very tough to manage all of these issues because you get a stack and you have some extras and whatnot. I mean, these things are mammoths in terms of content. I could just pull a stack of these and probably have a month's worth of content. Okay, December 94. I've shared this one before. This one was another cool one. I'll talk about it for a second here, but Wet and Wild Chevy. And the cool thing is, obviously photography has changed a lot with the resources that people have and the tools and things like that. But this was also a fold out. You could see in the foreground the sand, that would have been like a studio type deal with the Bombardier, also known as Sea-Doo, jet ski wave runner rather. But the back would have probably not even been a green screen. It probably would have been some sort of just backdrop with the pier. And you can kind of tell right in here where the sand goes up to it, and it looks like kind of a backdrop. But pretty cool. Hot chick, awesome truck, and another fold out there. So if you guys like this, leave a comment. Consider subscribing. I do plan to go through more. Unfortunately, not. I do not have every issue from every year. I have most. I would say 90 to 95% of the 1990s. But it kind of sucks because it's easy when you have them all just to kind of go through them like I did here. Again, check us out. We are your Mini Truckin' headquarters, but of course, Mini Truckin' inspired. We talk about 80s, 90s, old school BMX, a little bit of everything. And the last thing I'll show you is here is a classic vintage Truckin' sticker. McMullen Publishing when they were in Anaheim. ODB, we are chia. Be safe, everyone.